Welcome to Oof News. Poppy Hamburger's off for the week. I'll be your host today. I'm Eduardo Vidal Zasun de la Isla. And we've got some great stories for you coming up, so stick around. So, welcome back. Today's top story comes from the upside down land of Australia, where the Women's Netball Association decided to go ahead and allow men and women to play netball together. Seems like an issue? I don't have an opinion. I'm not allowed to. I'm just an anchor here. You check out for yourself.
An all-boys netball team is allowed to compete against an all-girls team for the state title. Now, the all-boys team wins every match, running up huge scorelines, including a 30-goal victory in the grand final. All the while, parents watch on. They're angry, but they're powerless from the sidelines. Now, it all sounds like a bit of fiction, doesn't it? A Hollywood movie. That's exactly what happened at the Queensland Netball Titles earlier this week, where the all-male Queensland Suns blitzed their all-female competitors to be crowned the Queensland Under-18 state champions. Who in their right mind thought this was okay?
Well, look, I was a field hockey player, but what I'd like to say is that when Netball Australia says this is all about inclusion, who's being included here? Because it's certainly not the women and girls.
I think the guys are being included. Now, I'm just a news anchor here, and I'm not allowed to have my opinion, but inclusion includes everybody. I mean, hell, like they done took away the winning and losing from sports now. Isn't it about like everybody getting to participate? I thought that was the new goal here. And who said this was a good idea? I'm gonna have to say you guys' league, the CEO of the league, the other teams that were there, the female teams that these dudes played against. Am I not right on this?
They're being excluded. They're being expected to yet again sacrifice their sports to make sure that men and boys feel included and men and boys feel good about themselves.
I'd just like to know, does she hear herself speaking right now? I mean, we are literally talking about men and women playing the same sport. How are they being excluded? And how is this supposed to make the men feel better about themselves when they were seemingly invited to take part in this sport?
Clark, I'll put it up on the screen for people. She said that we stand by the decision to choose inclusion over exclusion. Let's judge the decision in 12 months' time and see how many boys and men's team we have. Because if we can't, you can't be it if you you can't see it if you can't be it. That doesn't seem fair to me.
No, when we watch women's sports, we want to see the best women and girls that the world has to offer. We don't want to see men and boys taking up space on the netball court or on the podium. And
them dudes said, hey, I don't know. Them dudes look happy to the mother. Hold up. That's crazy as hell. What?
And frankly, I'd like to say to these boys, they should have forfeited. I mean, if they wanted to play netball, they should have done what women and girls have always historically done over the years and decades and centuries of fighting for equality, for access to sporting opportunities. And we've gotten out there, we've done the recruiting, we've done the fundraising, we've built our own leagues. And here you have these boys going, oh, I want to be included, so I'm just going to jump on in with the women, and I don't care about their right to fair competition, don't care about their right to safety. I'm just going to play.
So why though? Why should they have forfeited? I mean, everything she just said right there, the right to competition, fair play, all this other stuff. Like, number one, the guys probably went through the same exact thing in order to get their squad together as far as the campaigning and fundraising and actually building of a team. They didn't just hop in and say, hey, we're doing this. Like, we gonna come in here and smash. This is what it is. We about this life. Like, let's go on and knock these females off their pedestal. Oh, come on. It wasn't nothing like that. They got invited. And that's the issue here. Like, come on now. How you gonna come at these dudes telling them that they wrong for actually going in, playing in the sport where other individuals told them, hey, you have the right to actually come in and play. We're inviting you to do so. Bring your squad in, bring your team in. Let's see how you compare. I mean, it's almost like something else I seem to remember.
Men always say how women's soccer sucks. Then come to the field and try it with us.
The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Like, that's not even right. But hey, no. Oh, I'm just. I don't have an opinion on this situation. I'm just reporting the news. That's all there is to it. Hey, yeah. So that's what happened. Women's soccer team goes out, invites 15-year-old, the under. Yeah, these are not grown men. These women were the top ranked. This was the top ranked team in their country, ranked 5 in the world. Decided to invite some 15-year-old boys to play against them. Lost 7-0, 7-0. Like, I mean, just wiped them. And then I saw another video that was kind of like that too. It was Zurich. They did the exact same thing. Now, every kid on that team, every male boy on that team, pretty much scored a goal. It was awful. But the thing is, it's not even supposed to be this whole thing where we're making this big deal out of, guys versus girls and everything else. And the really rough situation about that whole under 15 game with the grown professional female players was that the women were asking for equal pay to their male counterparts. Now, here's the situation. If we all know anything about the women's suffrage movement, that was concerning initially at its start. The right to vote, the right to certain access that men have, and that's no problem by any means. But then it comes down to feminism and what feminism actually stands for. If you don't understand the definition behind feminism, feminism is the belief in the social and economic equality of the sexes. The goal of feminism would be to change, systematic inequalities that women face, which could mean like equal pay, different things of that nature. However, there's a problem with this a greater deal of the time, and that issue is that fairness of opportunity and fairness of outcome are two completely different things. What I mean by that is, if you take a look at what the women's soccer team was looking for, as far as at that point where they played under 15 group of boys, they were looking to get paid the exact same as their male counterparts. The problem with it is this: when you take a draw off of this pool of money, the way that it's set up there, I don't even want to get into how they set up the money pool, but essentially both the male and female teams are drawing off of the same bundle of cash, okay, in order to pay the players. Now, if the male teams are drawing, tens of thousands of actual viewers, and they're producing hundreds of millions of dollars, but on the opposite side, the women's teams are only drawing a couple of thousand, maybe 1,000 at most, as far as viewers or attendees and things like that, and they're drawing 100,000, 200,000. There's a huge gap there as far as the money being made on both sides. And when I say that, there's no wage gap. What it is there's a performance and outcome gap. The men are drawing millions of dollars of revenue. The women are only drawing tens of thousands or maybe $100,000 in revenue. So how fair is it at that point? Because if we're talking about fairness and equality, the problem is that what happens to skill? What happens to tenure? I mean, think about it. People like to bring up airlines and different things of that nature, and how there's women who are now getting into becoming pilots and things, and that's absolutely fantastic. So you understand when I say this, again, my opinion doesn't matter. I'm speaking on facts. I have no issue with equality and things like that, but let's play the scale of equality in all things. But when it comes to an airline, a greater deal of male pilots have been pilots for 20, 30, years. They've put in a great deal of time. Their pay scale, rightfully so, should be adjusted at a higher income than what a new individual, male or female, coming into the piloting game than what they get paid. And when they take all these different polls and everything else in a lot of businesses, what they tend to do is take the overall amount of money made by each individual group and say, oh my gosh, men are getting paid more, but they don't take into account the tenure and all these other things. And in fact, when they do take those into account, it's written in the itty bitty fine print down at the bottom of the article or whatever study it is that you're viewing. So you don't technically see that. All you see is the large component there, which is men are getting paid more than women. And it becomes this whole thing that's taken way out of context on so many levels. And that's where you get a lot of these gaps and all this other stuff that comes into play. But I digress. Think about it this way. When are men and women, as far as modeling, going to get paid the same? Female models make 10 million plus, whereas a male model might make like 1 to 1.5 million. Maybe it's the industry. Maybe it's the time that they've been in the game. Maybe it's the amount of money that they actually draw in based on the industry they're in.
I'm just going to play. So, yet again, we're seeing male entitlement, a lovely example of it here from Netball Australia.
Male entitlement? Did she just pull the male entitlement card? Like, you got to be tripping right now. I mean, somebody get me the fuck out this genjutsu. Look, that's like sitting at a restaurant across from a woman who's fucking 3 tables over, and just because you might have been glancing around the room and saw her, she choked on her pizza, now all of a sudden it's male entitlement, like you did something wrong. The guys did not say, hey, we're just coming in there to run you down. They were invited by the CEO, who is a female, who wanted to encourage inclusion, as everybody has been asking for. Equal rights, equal opportunities, as everyone has been asking for. But it's a problem, and it's male entitlement to a group of people, a group of guys who just went and said, you know what, all right, I enjoy the sport just the same. They went in just to play the same way everybody else does. And this is what they get. They get blasted for it. Good job there. Who raised you? Who is raising these individuals nowadays that have all this issue with everything, and just because it doesn't go in their and go their way, all of a sudden it's a huge issue. Let's think about it. Had those women dominated the men, I wonder if the articles would have been a little bit different. It makes no sense. It's like, look, people can't see beyond what they want. People only want to see what's best for them. In the cases of this right here, what we're talking about, this woman is she's a feminist who heads the Save Women's Sport Australia. Be a feminist. Ask for equal rights. But guess what? Not all things in this world are equal. And when it comes down to it, you really can't sit here and ask for equal rights if you're unwilling to allow the other side to have the same equal rights you want to. You want to play in the NFL? Go for it. I mean, my personal thoughts is you go for it. If you can make it, what she say, you can't be it. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Then you know what? And I think that's what the CEO meant right there too, as far as the you can't see it, you can't be it thing. It was encouragement to say, if you don't see individuals of your gender or of your ethnicity or cultural group, or whatever the case may be, if you don't, see them in certain situations or sports or whatever, then you probably won't believe that you can be a part of it as well.
Prioritise both inclusion and the avoidance of harm. How is it possible to do that if you're going to have biological male athletes again compete against women?
Well, you can't. Quite frankly, as I've said, when you have inclusion of men and boys, or men and boys with a special self-declared identity, women and girls lose out. Now, if you look at the principles of sport, fair competition, player safety and welfare and inclusion, you cannot equally balance those.
Oh boy, did she just say that? Did she just say that? First off, self-identified as, and the transgender biological males competing against females was wrong. Oh boy, okay, so yeah, again, these are the same people, these are the same individuals who will sit and fight for the rights of, the transgender community, or say that a woman wants to go into X field or Y field or Z field. It's perfectly fine for her to do so. However, when it comes down to these transgender individuals, they shouldn't be competing in these sports against, or the biological male transgender individuals should not be competing in sports against biological females because of sportsmanship and conduct, as well as, and predominantly, the safety of those women who are competing against biological males. Look, without being opinionated, like for real, no, seriously, I do not think that it should happen. I don't think it's that it's right for a biological male to go into certain sporting events against a female when it comes to a lot of these transgender individuals who are getting into the MMA and everything else and fighting women. And I've seen the outcome of those. It's not for me to say whether they should do it or shouldn't do it. I mean, the world we live in, especially in the US, it's a situation where it's like, well, you know what, they should have the right to do so. Everything else, let them go ahead and do it. And I'm like, you know what, all right, if you about that life, then I don't want to hear all the craziness coming from the same groups, the individuals such as those two women who were just speaking. They have no issue with women stepping into certain fields which could actually be detrimental to their physical well-being, or situations that could be detrimental to their physical well-being. They have no issue with that. But when it comes to, a man playing something such as netball, they have an issue. If it comes to a transgender biological male going into the Olympic sports, competing against women, they have an issue. I mean, where does your biases end? Again, I don't think that portions of it is right. But where do your biases end? That becomes a question to a lot of these people. I'm Eduardo Vidal Sassoon de la Isla, and this has been Oof News. I hope you guys will go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave your comments about these videos or these news articles that we just went over, because I want to hear your opinions on them. I really do. It's something that things are getting way out of hand, and nobody wants to see both sides of the picture. It's always this one-sided situation where it's like, well, we want this, but you can't have it, even though we're supposed to be on equal ground.